Now we're going to go over some warm-ups that are going to describe some basic sketching techniques. I'm going to be working with a sign pen, which is basically a relatively thin felt tip marker. You might want to start with something that's a little bit thinner, such as a fine liner, or something like a ballpoint pen, basically anything with a fine tip point. I'm going to use the sign pen because it shows up really well in the video. You do want to sketch with something that's permanent, and that's going to force you to commit to your lines, basically making all of your lines with a purpose. It's also a bit faster and more efficient than drawing things and erasing them all the time. So sketching is not something that just comes from the hand. It comes from the whole entire arm. So the first thing that we're going to do is go over arcs. So I'm going to make this arc basically by rotating my arm about my elbow. And so that's going to give the line a bit of curvature. So this is a good place to start your warm-ups. Just kind of lay some lines down. And you can see that my arm kind of naturally makes a bit of a curve. And you also notice that I'm making a few shapes in the air, and then I'm kind of just drawing down the shapes that I want to make. I'm going to rotate this. And so this is just a warm-up, so it doesn't matter that my lines overlap. And what you're going to want to do as you start to warm up is basically try to make the arcs a little bit more evenly spread apart. Or you can go ahead and use up a bit more paper. So go ahead and keep practicing that. And the next thing that we're going to do is transition from arcs to straight lines. And the way the technique is going to differ is I'm just going to have my elbow move laterally. And so the combination of the rotation and the lateral motion is going to straighten those lines out. So basically, where the curve was like this, adding the lateral motion will kind of give you a straighter shape, kind of like this. So go ahead and practice that for a while. And try to keep your lines evenly spread apart. And kind of train your arm to do that. And then you can also practice trying to get them to be the same length. And so you're controlling when you're actually touching down to the paper. Okay, so that's straight lines. The next thing that we're going to cover is circles. So in order to get a circle drawn, you kind of want to make quick motions by moving your whole entire arm. And it's good to make a few circles in the air and then touch down to try to transfer that round shape to the paper. And you may want to keep drawing a few circles to kind of fine-tune the roundness of the shape. So go ahead and practice just putting some circles down and trying to get them to be relatively the same size. And then after you've practiced that for a while, you can try to do some different sizes, maybe some smaller circles. Maybe try some larger circles. And then just go ahead and get that practiced. Now, the next shape that we're going to cover is going to transition you from circles to ovals. And ovals are important for conveying circular shapes in perspective, which we'll get to in a different tutorial. But basically, to get an oval, you want to take that circular shape that you had and once again add some lateral motion of the elbow. And that's going to transition you from a circle to an oval shape, or an ellipse. So go ahead and practice that for a bit and try to make consistent ovals, ovals that are consistent in size. And then you can try ovals of a few different angles, kind of changing the shape a little bit. And you can also explore making ovals of different sizes. So kind of expanding your shape, maybe making it a bit larger, or get some tighter ovals. Once again, feel free to draw the shape a few times to kind of fine-tune the shape. And then you can switch back to circles if you want. If you want to go ahead and practice some straight lines again, switching between them, it's all good. So by just practicing these general basic skills warm-ups, your sketching can really improve a lot. So I'd encourage you, if you want to improve on your sketching, to practice those every day. And that's a quick overview of some general sketching techniques.